Hi guys, it's the Forgetful Scholar. Let's chat about books. So this week, 2 books or like 1.5 books. This week I have a single mother book that I've been looking for and DNF. So let's do the DNF first. You know what I mean? Okay, so The Lady and the Mountain Man, The Mountain Series 1 by Misty M. Beller, USA Today's bestseller author. Cover, very pretty. Okay, so if you've watched this channel before, you get my puppy noises. Okay, my hatred for quotes. There was a book months ago that in the beginning of each chapter, there was a quote from a different book. Not so much like something the townspeople said, but like from a different book. So this one started off with a quote from the Bible. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about the Bible and romance novels jiving together from my own personal taste. I'm like, I don't know about this. But I was like, I'll give it a try because the first page, the guy she is legally required to marry because Wild West days, she overhears him plotting to murder her. So right away I was like, ooh, that's a fascinating plot. Right away I enjoy that. I don't even know what her name, did I even find out what her name was? Leah, which I've seen a lot in romance novels lately. And the main guy, I think his name is Gillian. I didn't really get to the point, I don't think. At 10% I stopped. Oh, my hair's a mess. That's okay. Anyway, so she's like, oh no, what should I do? So she reads her Bible. I was like, okay. All right. Don't be too harsh, you know. This is 1800s, you know, out in the West. You know, this is probably the only book she's ever read. And then she's like, oh, I know, thanks to this psalm, I'm going to run away. So it wasn't so much that it was the Bible was the only outside influence in her life. It was more like she turned to it for every single decision, at least in the first 10%, which I got through. At that point, I was like, F this. I am not enjoying myself. I kind of feel uncomfortable every time the psalm comes out because it's sort of like, I don't know, a little in your face. And I'm like, okay, what if that's not your religion? This is kind of weird, but all right. And it wasn't like categorized in the Christian romance section, you know what I mean? Because I know there's a whole subset of that, and that's 100% fine. Not my jam, but like no judgy, you know, fine. So I was kind of annoyed that it didn't have that kind of title in it or subtag in it, so I would have known. I don't even think it still does. Anyway, I could be wrong about that, but so it's just like, I don't like it. I'm not enjoying myself. I feel uncomfortable with all the psalms, like every single chapter, and like I hate when romance novels base their book after a different book, you know, and using that quote to do it. It's just, it's lazy is what it is. It's unimaginative is what it is, and I don't enjoy it, so I stopped reading it. So that's my DNF for that one. So I did try to read 2. I just didn't work out. Now, the single mom story is The Devil's Daughter, The Ravenel Meets Wallflower by Lisa Kleypas. Look at that step back. Anyway, I really like this one. And of course with Lisa Kleypas, it's always like, all right, I'm into the first part of the book. All right, I'm into it. Let's see what happens. Middle part of the book, I hate everyone involved. Last part of the book, I love everyone involved. So that's just my normal Lisa Kleypas formula. I've come to expect it at this point, right? So The Devil's Daughter. So she is the daughter of Sebastian St. Vincent and Evie from The Devil in Winter. And is it just me, or does Lisa Kleypas really like the devil moniker for her titles? And like, because this title, The Devil's Daughter, made sense to me because you know, in Evie's story, Sebastian was the devil, even though I don't know if there was ever a point in that story. You could, please correct me if you remember any point of Evie and Sebastian's story, if she was ever like, I made the deal with the devil or something. Because I don't remember. I don't think there was, but again, could be completely false, completely wrong in that, and Evie did consider Sebastian the devil. Sebastian, to me, was just like a bored, rich dude that got better once he got a job. You know what I mean? So, okay. And then I realized, because of this title, because this made sense to me, she is the daughter of Sebastian, who was the original devil or whatever. All of Lisa Kleypas's books, the titles, don't really make all that much sense. Like, they're classic romance titles, but like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, like, let me see. Well, Hello Stranger was obvious because they were strangers. Okay, Devil in Spring because it was Sebastian's son. Mine Till Midnight. I mean, I love the book and everything, but like, how does that make sense? I guess if I do some kind of mental gymnastics, okay, like, yeah, you know, like it's such a, that's strange, you know? And then in contrast with like Johanna Lindsay, her Loving Scoundrel. Okay, technically that's a very romance book sounding name, right? But it made sense because Jeremy was a scoundrel all the way around. Like, he was raised in a tavern. He was a pirate for a while with his dad. You know, and he kind of had the scoundrel's personality still. So it made sense to me. Sorry, my hair's still kind of wet and it's driving me crazy. Is that better? Not really, but we're going to go with it. Anyway, so that kind of made sense to me. So, like, is it me? Or does Lisa Kleypas' books don't really make all that, like the titles don't really jive all that well with what's going on? Or is it just me? Completely got sidetracked. Sorry. So this one, I liked 4 stars. And the only reason it's not 5 stars is because the villain was very lukewarm, very tepid, not all that threatening. Even when he literally had a gun pointed to the hero West's face, they didn't seem bothered. Like, he was it was like, So if Lisa Kleypas made the bad guy a little more robust, then it would have been a 5. So, Phoebe is a widow. Her husband, Henry, they were childhood sweethearts. He had some kind of disease and he was terminal, and left her with 2 small children. Justin, who's so cute, and 4. And Stefan, when he's in the story, is very sweet at a toddler. I think he's like 2, almost 2. Okay, so because the Devil in Spring happened, sorry, the Devil in Spring happened, so it's basically the wedding for that book, and they have it at the estate, and you know, the families of the Ravenels and the Wallflowers kind of mix for the wedding. You know what I mean? And I do have to say, in this book, Sebastian St. Vincent was pretty funny. And he didn't completely take over the book, which happens sometimes with this writer, so I really enjoyed that. Evie was sort of more occupied with seeing her girlfriends again for the Wallflowers, so she was in it once in a while. But yeah, I enjoyed when she was in it. It wasn't her book, you know, so fine. And St. Vincent really entertained me because he's just like, the conversation between him and Evie, it was like he was chomping at the bit to meddle in his daughter's love life. And she had to like rein him in and didn't like forbid him from meddling. And he's like, no, but I have to. Like, I thought that was pretty funny. Like, considering what he was like in the Wallflower series, and then in this, he's like this doting over, like, involved dad that's like, no, I have to meddle. You're not letting me meddle. Oh my God. I thought that was really entertaining. So Phoebe, normally this kind of character, without reason, I don't really jive with. She's very timid and she kind of lets other people decide things for her. And normally this would drive me nuts, but not for her because she's grieving. And it's been 2 years, you know. But as someone who has grieved multiple losses. Grief doesn't have a time frame. It's not like, oh, 6 months, you're good. No, it lasts a while and even pops up when you least expect it, right? So I totally got her. And I really enjoyed following her kind of internal journey to pull her, like, become a little bit more assertive and kind of take a little bit more control. And she kind of bashes herself for not doing that sooner. Wes is the hero, and we saw him in Hello Stranger, and he was, he reminded me a lot of St. Vincent, her father, which I'm not going to touch. I'm going to leave that there and walk away from. In Hello Stranger, he did hit on the female hero on that a lot, and Hello Stranger kind of takes place in the time jump in this book, in the middle of this book. So I get it. The writer probably didn't write both books at the same time, but looking back on it now, I wish he didn't flirt so much with the female doctor, considering he was in the middle of pining for Phoebe, but that's, nitpicking, I think, a little bit too much. So, and, Phoebe's there, and he's like, automatically like, wow, she's pretty, but not for me, because, I don't have a title. I'm just basically a land manager, and my past is really bad, so, you know what I mean? I can look admire, but that's it. And Phoebe doesn't want to like him, doesn't want to be friends with him, because Wes, when he was a kid in boarding school, picked on her deceased husband. So she feels this like righteous indignation on her dead husband's behalf to hate him, but she can't help but, like his company and things like that. So I did like that kind of push and pull internally for her. Like there was an external reason why she didn't like him. So I guess this is bullies to lovers, sort of, because he didn't bully her, bullied Henry. And her and Henry's relationship seemed more like best friends getting married than anything else, but whatever. And to help, her kind of get over this stupid stigma of like not liking Wes just because Wes doesn't really know this going on. Eventually he does. It's a cute plot point when he realizes what happens after that, so I'm not going to spoil it. But, who wouldn't be able to help but, like this guy? Because he is so cute with the boys. And I really liked him interacting with the boys because it seemed like it had nothing to do with Phoebe. He just really enjoyed playing with the boys, the kids. He really enjoyed them for them. He had a relationship that was separate with the boys, with them. And, it was just so sweet to read. Like, for example, 2 examples come to mind. He's supposed to show the Duke and Phoebe around his estate, the farm management, you know what I mean? Because Justin is set to inherit his own lands and things like that. And the cousin is looking after them in the interim. The cousin's a whole different thing. But anyway, so he goes into the room. He says good morning to both of them. He's like, she's gorgeous. And there's the Duke there, and he completely ignores them because Justin's there with like, one of those old toys that had like a horse's head on a pole and like kids would pretend they're riding a horse, right? So he notices that, and then boom, he just goes into playing with Justin. It's like the Duke and Phoebe aren't even there. You know what I mean? And another point, he runs into them when they're Justin and Stefan and her and the nanny are by the river having a picnic. He runs into them, and like, of course, there's like friction between him and Phoebe, but he kind of takes the boys and goes downriver and like starts playing with them in the muck, in the mud and stuff like that. And he's just like has fun with the boys, and he interacts with the boys on their own. And I loved how they slowly like built their own connection. And I was like, yeah, that's wonderful, because how many single mom romances are out there? Not that many. And how many are like, have moments where the guy or the girl, has, the romantic interest has their own friendship with the kids that is separate. You know what I mean? Like, it was so like, I was like, oh, that is so cute. I love that. So I really enjoyed that. And I love, because her dead husband made her promise to marry his cousin, which I thought was fucking weird. And then I loved how Vincent's like, when like she tells her dad about it. Her dad is like, how did I raise such a daughter that likes such weak men? And Phoebe gets all angry and like goes tells on her mom to him. And then when he's talking to Evie, he's like, I'm not gonna apologize because I was right. Why does she like all these weak men? You know what I mean? And he's like, I'm not gonna prove. I don't even remember the cousin's name. And he's like the big bad guy. I don't even remember his name. That's how like interesting he was. He's like, I'm not gonna approve him at all. I only approved Henry because, she would have run off with him. This guy, he's like, but I like Wes. Yes, let's hook them up. And Evie's like, don't meddle. He's like, no. We have to grab Wes for our own son-in-law before Westfield grabs him for one of his daughters, like one of his and Lillian's daughters from the first Wallflower book. We have to grab him. So I really enjoyed how like meddling and like he was like a meddling matchmaker and everything like that. Yeah, so like this is a 4 stars, and it would have been a 5 stars if the bad guy was just more interesting. There is even a point he holds a gun to like a drunk Wes and his friend, and like they're not nervous about it. No one in the club is nervous about it. No one even blinks at it, even though like the cousin looks deranged and like desperate. Like there is no like fear at all. And I was like, oh, okay. Like maybe if he grabbed Phoebe and was like trying to drag her up to Scotland for a forced elopement, and like they had to like Wes and the dad had to like stop and intercept, I think that would have been more like oh no, this guy is really, he means business. But it was more like a kid playing at a school play a bad guy. It was just, it didn't read for me. He didn't seem like a bad guy. It was more of an annoyance. So that was the only dark spot in this book. 'Cause the rest of it, so freaking cute. Justin, adorable. Stefan, oh, so cute. And like, I just love the scenes where they were playing with Wes and so forth. And, I was more interested in those scenes than the romance sometimes. So that was really cute. I enjoyed that. So I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.